I'm Steve with Elev8, and in this exciting new Elev8, we have Burning Snow Flameworks. Kai's work is crazy. The dude is so OG, and you really need to check out his stuff, follow him, and man, I'm really excited to get to know this guy. As a real quick thing, I want to throw it out there. We got this cool brand ambassador program called Elev8 Dolls. It's you can earn some credits, you can earn some stuff, and it's really cool. Check it out. Anyways, let's get into this. Welcome, y'all. We got Burning Snow Flameworks here, Kai Hogen, and thanks a lot for joining us, Kai.
Hey, it's my pleasure. I'm really glad I could get on and answer some questions and see how you guys are doing.
Hell yeah, fresh, man. So first question is, how'd you get into this glass blowing, this crazy thing we got here?
Well, I was all about the Fish scene and all about the Grateful Dead scene back in the 90s. I graduated high school in 93, kind of like bebopped around for a while, just kind of doing my thing, and ended up landing in Bozeman, Montana in 1997. And in that time while I was here, I was kind of ski bumming. I like to snowboard and ski, and so I was kind of bumming around and ran into a local girl and kind of got interested in her, and her boyfriend at the time was getting an apprenticeship from this kid that moved out from Medford, Oregon. His name is Sam Avalon. He goes by Avalon Glass. He's the guy that started it all here in Bozeman, Montana.
Wow.
So I basically was just like, I heard through her that he was doing this. So I was just like, man, I've seen one or two glass pipes, back in the early 90s, I was in the Midwest a lot at that point. And so there wasn't a lot of glass pipes moving around. So I just was so interested. So basically I went over to this guy's house and met him. And it turned out that we were from the same area in Oregon. I grew up in Medford, Oregon. He grew up in Shady Cove. And so we had put two and two together. We'd been to parties together, but didn't know, just weird stuff from back in the day. So we hit it off. He was a big time snowboarder too. That's why he moved from Oregon out here. And so basically I just hounded him, and back in the 90s, this guy especially, Sam, he was old school, and he didn't let me. As soon as I saw him, I'm like, teach me how. And he's like, I already have 3 apprentices. And so I said, okay, well, what do I do? And he's like, you can watch. So basically he made me watch for a year straight. And I ended up moving in with him to just so that I could watch and be around it. Cause I was so down. I was really excited about the medium. I was excited about what was going on.
Yeah.
And so I just stuck it out and watched and asked him every day, are you gonna let me blow? Are you gonna let me blow? And he's just like, nope, not today. And then finally, some circumstances happened to me where I wasn't able to have my car. And I think he finally was just like, okay, everyone else is gone. You go ahead and jump on. So he started teaching me.
And you've been there for a year watching, that's dedication.
Right. You're right. Well, that's what I thought too. So I jumped on and I was able to make a spoon right away. I had watched long enough, and I sat there and twisted the glass while he was twisting glass, but he wouldn't let me touch a torch. He wouldn't let me blow any glass. So finally he got me on, and then eventually he ended up moving out of the area. One of his old apprentices approached me to get to work on a project, and we started a company. We were one of the first companies back in the day to advertise glass in High Times magazine. We were called High Country Glass.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So that was those days, man. That was a long time ago, and
that was that right after Pipe Dreams, I think, right? Because Pipe Dreams was
this was before Pipe Dreams. This was
before.
Well, when was Pipe? I thought Pipe Dreams was 2004, wasn't it?
Oh, I think you're 100% right. It was way later, because that's right when I got started. So you're right. Absolutely. I got mixed up.
Yeah. So we had basically in 99, we were kind of running full bore. We had opened a big studio. We had advertised to have glass blowers come, or people that wanted to learn how to blow glass that come to Bozeman, and we'll put you to work and teach you how to blow glass. And we got a ragtag team of people, and we started making pipes. And then the owner of my partner Harry and I, we both we went for it. Well, there was some trouble, like glass blowers, at that time, cannabis wasn't quite as legal as it is these days, that's for sure. So we got in trouble. And that kind of shut everything down. And I took a significant break from pipes. I took a really long break from pipes, probably 10 years.
Holy shit. Did you remain in glass then?
Yeah, I did. I hobbied quite a bit during that time, but I actually, I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico and met up with Niles Mallman. He started something back in those days called Albuquerque Glass Alliance, and Dougie Harone was in there as well, and he runs Gray Matter now down there. Anyway, so we were all just like crammed in this sweet space, and we were just and Niles was really getting into art, and I was pushing my art levels, and I was really starting to like feel out the art scene. And I went to Gas at that time in 2001. I met this girl that I ended up marrying, and she really like influenced me in a lot of my art and pushing my art game. So I tried that for about 10 years, but I never went to college for any of it. And back in those days, galleries didn't want to talk directly to artists. They wanted to talk to people that, had managers or some kind of a person, a handler, as it were. And so I'd really like, and my stuff wasn't as refined as people that had gone to school or whatever. I didn't have the credentials to really get into the galleries and be represented. They'd be like, that's really nice art, but who are you? Like, who did you study with? Who is your master? And I'm like, oh, Sam Avalon. Like, that's what? I don't know. So I tried, and I really kind of just backed off for quite a while.
So it sounds like sorry to interrupt you, but it sounds like the art community there is almost like some kind of Hollywood scene or something, where it's who you know, and you can't really get in with just your talents.
Right. Yeah, it was really, wow. It was tricky. I got into a few galleries, a couple in Whitefish, Montana, and then I tried, there was a couple places down in Prescott, Arizona, that was pretty good, because Prescott's kind of affluent, especially in the art scene. So I was happy to get into a couple of galleries down there, but it was very, very hard. And I did not really sell anything through the galleries. There was one time up in Whitefish where someone stole one of my pieces, and I got paid through the insurance on that one. But yeah, the art was hard for me. Art, just jumping into it from kind of a street kid to getting into trying to like represent in the gallery. It was not easy. So like I said, I took a big break. And then it was right around, now this is a little personal, but I lost a little boy with my wife.
Oh man.
And at that point, like, life changed. This was 12 years ago. And at that point, I just kind of was really examining things in my life and going, what's really important to me? And what do I really want to do? Because I had gone down a few different career choices. I started building homes in Bozeman because there was the 2005 through 2008, just a giant boom in the industry. And so I jumped on board with that for a while. Didn't leave a whole lot of time for glass blowing, but I did do some marbles were kind of my thing at that point. I did bracelets like Kevin O'Grady. I did a lot of farmers market type things, stuff that the old ladies would absolutely love. And so that kept me sustained for quite a few years. And then in 2011, after I'd lost my little boy, I made a decision that, I'm going to do what I want. Life's too short. And so then I jumped right back into the pipe scene, because I had really been looking into the art scene to kind of get a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of like what's going on with technique, who's going where, what's happening. And honestly, it wasn't happening in 2011. I mean, there was art, but man, when you wanted to see some really great glass, man, I went down to Vegas to AGE back when that was really a great thing.
Yeah.
And man, I saw buck glass for the first time.
Those big fish.
Oh my gosh.
Like, what
Boom!
the fuck?
My mind just, I was like, what? This is Boro? Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I saw Darby's really radical, chandeliers that he was making, and then it just, the scientific was all blown up at that time. It just like, I literally had just kind of gotten my mind out of the pipe scene for so long, and then I jumped right back into the scene, and it was just like mind blowing. The sculptural was going off like crazy. Like when I
Like a
left,
time warp you had
like,
almost.
it was crazy. There was all these new colors, there were all these new tools, there were all these like hand torches were like the norm, and just it was rad. It was so fun just to see the innovation and the newness of the industry, and then to see all these glass blowers and kids everywhere just like, check out what I made, and check out and there's these things called recyclers, and oh my gosh, it was rad, man. It was so fun to pop in there. And I just jumped in with aplomb. I was just like, I'm gonna get in here, and I'm gonna really make this. I'm gonna make this my scene too, And I did, right. And everyone invited me.
Well, you're OG, man. Like you started.
Yeah. And that was what's fun about it, is it was like, I didn't really have a lot of the new tech going down, but I could show them. I could bust out anything else from back in the day. A lot of that JBD style, with big stuff on the side of tubes, and I could do all that stuff, Latticino cane and all. And so it was really neat. And I've enjoyed being in the scene ever since. It's just like, it's inspiring. There are some people in this industry that really understand this medium.
Yeah, it's crazy,
and it's fun to see what they're doing with it, and to wrap my mind around it, and honestly, what I've come down to the fact of the matter is it's just like, find one thing and just make it really good and yours, and people are just going to eat that up. It's because it's, the Japanese artists, for example, each one of those guys has like a direction or a genre within the medium that they just hammer it out, and they just continually the same thing, and they just get better and better,
refine it.
Better repetition of form. I thought about that. Niles Malman from AGA, he was like, yeah, that's how you do it. That's how it's got to be done. And then if you've ever done any proto, that I could do 20 spoons in my sleep, and everyone will look exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
and that's hard to do, though, to make them all the same. Like, to me, that is almost equal to scientific blowing. It's easy to make a fucking pipe, but to make them all look the same, I struggle with that myself. It's hard.
Oh yeah, it is hard, and there's it's neat what these kids are doing, is all I have to say. It's fun to watch. It's inspiring. I'm going to continue, playing around with the medium myself. I have so much more to learn, because taking off a lot of that time and kind of being outside of the industry window really kind of it put a little handicap on me, but it's not a competition either. It's kind of like, I get to learn more. I get to like, oh, what's that? Oh, that's stick stack, or that's back stack, or that's, there's just so many different like things that have been innovative out of all this stuff. Oh, I love it. It. All the colors, my goodness gracious. The industry is just, it's fun to be a part of it.
Isn't it like almost a blessing, to be a part of this thing, where before it was illegal and you were looked at by some as this, what the fuck, man? You're
a graffiti artist at best, like really, right. Like that's what it was,
And now people are becoming like Buck, are becoming fucking celebrities. In my world, like people, Buck, it's like he's equal to Brad Pitt or something.
Yeah.
Even more so, I think.
His abilities, yeah. That's I agree, and like a lot of my old favorites too are like, Lino Tagliapietra and Paul Stankard, and the guys that are about ready to not be around anymore. And those guys, right. Maestros, Buck and those guys are all on the road to being that next set of maestros. They are kind of American maestros. Robert Mickelson, Bandu, all the guys like Shane Farrow, I've even heard he's going to make a pipe or two here and there, which I can't believe. Mylan Townsend, all those fellas, those are the guys that, like, when I was coming up, we had to go get VCR, VCR tapes or DVDs. And we didn't have Instagram. The internet was just kind of getting started, and so like we couldn't just sit there and like scroll through, oh, that's neat, that's neat, that's neat, more like,
And get inspiration and grow like that. It was just,
yeah, it was all from the brain, and that's one thing that I miss about the old days is that, like I compare myself a lot, and that comparison is, a thief of joy in a lot of ways, and so it's weird. This technology is so helpful because it's such a great marketing platform, and, we wouldn't be able to do like this ever,
right.
But then on the other hand, like it distracts me for one thing. When I'm in the studio, I'm just like, instead of working.
I talked to one blower, and he had a great solution, which I haven't done and I should, but he got himself a little safe, and you can throw your phone in there and you lock it for like 2 hours and you can't touch it. So you're forced to disengage. I thought that was really cool.
That's brilliant. Yeah. Well, that's a good, I like that.
Yeah, that's why I had to mention it to you. So, yeah. So did you have a mentor when you were starting? Because it sounds like while you were working with people, you were like the mentor, like, because did you have any mentor back then, or?
Well, like I said, Sam Avalon from Avalon Glass was kind of the guy that, I watched him, and I got a lot of the beginning techs from him. There's another fellow by the name of Will Henry. He goes by Vajra Glass, and he's actually like, if he was the next guy after Will, and Will was like, he's local, but he was living in Missoula, kind of blowing it up over there, and then he moved back home, and honestly, Will's my mentor, and he definitely Sam was like the first mentor. He got me into it. He really like got me started, but then Will took me to the next level. He's the one that got me going to gas. He's the one that got me into a lot of the art. He went out to Corning and spent time out there and did the classes with Emilio and all the people I mentioned before, and so then he brought all that knowledge back to the valley. Awesome. And shared it with. But so the thing about Will is that he came into that big studio that I told you about, High Country Glass, and he noticed who was doing what in there, and he took me aside at that time, and he said, I want you to come up to my studio, and I want to show you what's going on. So he brought me up to the studio, and it was kind of an honor because he's definitely he was like the inside out guy, and none of us knew how to do inside out at the time. So we were kind of like, you're so cool. So, but he brought me up to his studio, and he handed me this box when I got there, and he said, hey, Sonny, leave it. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But he handed me this box, and because I was working on a national. That's what we worked back on those days. Remember nationals with whisper tips, and then I happened to get my hand on a major minor.
All right.
He saw one of the first or second days that he saw me working on that major minor. He invited me up to the house. I went up there. He handed me this box. He said, "This is for you, and I know that you're going to go somewhere in this game, so I want you to have the right tools." I opened the box, and it was a GTT Delta Elite.
What the?
Yeah, he's like, you got to have the right torch. And then back in those days, that was like untouchable, only like Robert Mickelson and a few other people were even starting to have those torches, And so I just was like, what in the world? He's like, well, you can pay me back, but it's whenever, just give it, And so that was how I kind of came up. I went from a major minor right into a Delta.
Do you still have that Delta?
Oh yeah. That's like a Jedi's lightsaber, bro. I'm never ever gonna get rid of that thing,
Yeah, and that's a proof of how well those torches are made. As long as you take care of them, and if there's a problem, they take care of their torches too.
It's been remanned a couple times just because it traveled through the airport, and they don't take care of stuff very well. Yep. I got banged up pretty good, and then I'm a nice guy, and I teach a lot of people how to blow glass, and then sometimes people drop a little bit of silver in the ports, you know how it goes.
Uh-huh.
But it's easy enough to dig out and get her done.
Yep.
So
Hell yeah. Where do you get your inspiration for your creativity in your glass now?
God, yeah, I'm a firm believer that the higher power really makes makes my mind tick, and the things that I think about. You know, I probably too, like some of my artwork, I was like really about emotions, and I was trying to convey emotions in glass. And I had a few like directions I was going with it that I'm actually, now that it's been almost 20 years, I'm gonna probably kind of revisit some of that stuff, because it's been way back in the portfolio, and it might, now that I have way more skills, I might be able to make it the way I want to actually make it. So
Yeah.
so like like just the humans and whatever, but all the creator really is what inspires my creation.
Hell yeah.
Honestly. Yeah.
I like that. Um, do you have a preferred style or technique that if you could only do one thing, you'd say, hey, I'm going to do that?
Oh man. I mean, I'm gonna have to go with fuming.
I would do the same thing. It's a big palette. It's endless. Feels like it's an ever learning thing still. Um,
Yeah, there's ways that you can. I mean, you can make any color with fume
yeah.
almost. Pretty much. So, uh, and also, like the thing that really grabbed me about glass in the first place was color changing.
Yeah.
Like that full on that color, that pale kind of not really even that great looking of a pipe, and then you get a couple of hits in that thing, and you're like, what's going on here?
How did they do this? Because if you don't know, you're like, what the
It,
fuck is.
it's totally like it's magic, bro, and I love that. Yeah. So the fumes, my game. I don't get me wrong. I would maybe if it was only like my favorite color, if that's on the list next too, it's gonna be amber purple. You can't mess with amber purple, dude. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and that was going to be a question. So, with amber purple as your favorite color, what color would you say, man, I'm not touching that stuff anymore?
There's a few of them. Probably like I hate to say this because I'm old school and I should never ever hate on this color, but anything like cobalt 5 and above,
It grays out easy.
I still can't figure out how to make that stuff awesome.
Me too. I sleeve it all because if I'm going to touch it, I'm scared.
Yeah, it's gonna gray, yeah.
I love that, man. What do you consider the most challenging style or piece to blow for you?
Challenging style or piece. I'm gonna have to say probably some of that like I mean, wow, that's a tricky one for me because I'm not really that scared of glass anymore, but I definitely mess things up all the time. So challenging. It's gonna have to be like probably like really like clean filicello. That's challenging for me because I'm not very patient.
Yeah.
I am, but I'm not. And to get the colors, the beautiful cadmiums, I'm also a bit of a boiler, like so. And that's probably one of the most challenging things for me is fillas. Like
And those are hard.
Yeah, they're tricky, because the sock, I mean, and all those like sock things like that, I can do all that part of it, but just like getting them so they're clean.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's just that practice, repetition of form again. There's so
Like
many
everything.
different things to do. Like, am I going to spend my time figuring out how to make perfect fillas, or I don't know. I've got other things I'd rather perfect, I suppose.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Do you collaborate often?
Yeah, all the time.
Hell
Yep.
yeah.
As much as possible. I love it. Yeah, it's like there's a guy that I just finished a piece up. I'm gonna actually post it pretty soon. That's old school, like me. He started, and he's actually worked for Harry, which is funny. His name is Jason Parker, JHP Glass, and he and I just made a sweet old school bubbler with a Dewar seal, like a hammer bubbler with a Dewar seal, but then it's got some fire kiss like snakeskin, and then it's got a bunch of Kevin. What's his name? The fume guy, Kevin Nail. Kevin Nail, like his Kundalini canes, that he does. So I made a bunch and put on there too. So it's all, and it's kind of like a JDZ that's got a ton of like horns just coming flowing back. It's cool. We'll throw it up on Insta here soon.
I can't wait to see it, man.
Yeah, but it's got a 14 mil Dewar in it, so you can use it either way.
Yeah, I think that's the thing now. Like bubblers are cool and all, but you can only use them for a bubbler. Whereas if you put a Dewar joint in there, you can use it for a bubbler, you can use it for a rig, or however. So
that's right. Yep. Versatility is kind of the key.
Absolutely. What's the most amount of time that you've spent in one particular place, not including the 20 plus years that it took to develop that piece?
Oh, and how long on one particular piece?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see.
Because I always like to think, even though something you might have put 10 hours into it, it took you your entire career to piece all that together in those 10 hours.
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, like, honestly, start to finish, there's a piece I made for my son when he was born, and it's a big, giant bubbler that's kind of like reminiscent of the Gordman style back in 2011, maybe 2012. With the big discs and like all the horns and things coming down off of it.
All right.
I made something like that, and it's
massive.
It's big, and that took me like basically 7 to 8 hours. It's almost 40 hours, I suppose, in 1 week. Yeah.
That's a long time, man. That's a long time, because when you're at the very end, if it don't go right.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, and that's definitely happened. I mean, there's been pieces, I've like when I was doing my artwork, I was really into making trees, and I made this tree that was almost 3 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
It was really, really heavy, and it was insane.
And that was all out of glass?
Yeah, that was all out of glass. It was basically kind of like what they're doing these days, where they pull it out and set it down and just do a bunch of cold work or one work on one side, and then they put the whole thing back in. I was doing that, and my apprentice and we didn't notice a teeny little hairline in the handle that had been hanging right by the door, and we like did a section, picked it up, and we're putting it back into the kiln, and it like click right onto the floor.
Wow.
And we'd spent almost 2 weeks putting that thing together.
Right. Wow.
I still have chunks of that I use for color, because it was back when GA just had put out all their first like major run. So it was like, I think it was Amazon Bronze or one of their red, what was the one red that they did? Oh no, maybe it was Red Exotic from North Star.
Oh, those are crazy colors.
Yeah, and those are really unstable too in the first place, so we encased all that in clear to get that done and get some great purples in there,
Absolutely, those colors are really cool when they come out right, but it's scary to work with too.
Yeah, they're kind of like that cobalt. If you don't oxidize, then you're gonna get reduction. That's
yeah. Do you consume yourself cannabis?
Oh yeah. I have probably since I was 17. I've taken many breaks. I just took a 3-month break this year.
Fresh.
I've just started again a while ago. But it's really more. It's gotten much more medicinal for me. I don't. It's more medicinal. All those pains from working all those years and all that kind of stuff. It really helps tremendously.
Yeah,
me.
I agree.
Yes, and I'm excited to see. I work with a lot of dispensaries around here, because Montana's had a robust scene, cannabis medical scene since 2009,
Yep.
and we, in the last like 3 or 4 years, there's been a lot of more, I guess, availability and more acceptance of it, and so there's more and more dispensaries opening up, and everyone wants glass in there, so that's been kind of a nice, outlet for glass. And it's typically, I just make like a set of dispensary glass, nothing super fancy,
Yeah.
affordable for patients, something that's simple, clear little things to get the job done.
Yep.
But in in doing so, I get a lot of samples.
Do you prefer flower or concentrates, or you just like cannabis?
Oh, I mean, I like it all, but I definitely like concentrates for sure because the old lungs don't. I just don't like to chief it down anymore so much.
Yeah, I feel that. What can we look forward to in the future from you?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Um, Burning Snow is established and it has been for a while. I've got 2 apprentices that are learning, some young guys that are really excited about the medium.
That's
So
good.
I'm passing it on to them, and I'm not making them watch for a full year, but I'm definitely doing a lot of observation, and then safety, tons of stuff like that. But also here in Montana, in Bozeman, in October, November, in that time frame, I'm looking to open up an interactive studio in Bozeman proper, basically for people to come and have an experience. And so what I'll be offering is open torches, classes, demos, teachers coming in from all over the place. We have some heavy hitters that live here in the area. Crux Glass is a local, and then Chaw Glass also is a local. We also have We have like, I think there's 6 of us triple OGs in the area, which is crazy to think about. But
Yeah.
Mike Conrad, Will Henry, Barry. Let's see, we've got some people over in Missoula. So anyway, there's a lot. Our glass community in Montana is pretty good and pretty tight knit. And each one of these people are all about the scene and all about the industry. We have Trapper over in Billings, so a lot of good artists here, and in the past when I've mentioned this kind of stuff, a lot of them have expressed interest in teaching a class or having like a time to come and work in the studio. So that's my plan. That's my next move in glass, is to be able to have kind of an educational outlet, but also just an experience type situation for the people of Bozeman and whoever comes through. We're close to Yellowstone National Park, so we have a lot of tourism. It seems to be a good idea. People that I've told, they're all excited about it.
I think it's a phenomenal idea. We've been doing some of these classes as well. And we're in the spring, so we get a lot of tourists, and it's on Airbnb that we list it.
Oh, excellent.
And fucking over and over. It's better than going to Pikes Peak. It's better than going to Guard of the Gods. People love fire. People love creation. People
Agreed.
love the risk of cutting or burning yourself. Whether they get a little cut or burn, they still have a smile. So you're onto it. And, I think with your experience and everything, I think you're going to deliver an amazing product and experience.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm, for selfish reasons, I really want to also host some great glass blowers that I get to know, and also like pick their brains and just kind of learn some of their tech, or just see like that's
why I'm doing this.
Yeah,
it's honestly,
exactly.
So I'm selfish. I get to meet you, and if I ever meet you in person,
Yeah.
there'll be a lot more camaraderie there.
Yeah, it's cool, man. It's cool. I'm a big time community builder. I'm about it. I think that community keeps people clean and safe and happy, and I had a terrible time with narcotics up until about 3 years ago. And I actually have been clean since 2018, September. And
Congratulations, man.
thank you.
That's an everyday battle. So keep the fight
Yeah.
up, brother.
Yeah. And so and I know that, a lot of the reason why I was able to step into a life of recovery is simply because I have glass in my life. It's one of the things that I look forward to. It's one of the things that I love, that I'm passionate about. I mean, literally, if you've worked in this industry long enough, you see people come and go, and I just, like, I'm not leaving. You can't, this is going to be me. I'm going to be one of those old grandpa guys that's in the studio making glass. I don't care what it is, I mean, I've done scientific, nothing really official. I'm not trained scientifically, but I've fixed a ton of rigs for MSU and a few other colleges, and so repair, it's been a big time. I'm just going to be I love glass. I'm going to be in the glass game for as long as I can, because it's right here,
Yeah.
Right here.
So there's a good question. Do you have the same or more passion today as when you started 20 some years ago?
I think it's passion refined.
All right.
Because when I was young, the sky was the limit, and the potential and all of the the dreaminess, the magic of the glass was still just like honeymoon, and now that I've been with it for a long enough time, and it's been a cruel mistress, off and on, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. We've had some weird times in our history. I've seen the market tank. I've seen it come all the way up, who knew that in the middle of a pandemic, we would have so much success.
Right.
Well, I mean, it's been great. But on the other hand, like, that's hard to say, but it's been great. And, but on the other hand, oops, did I lose you?
I can still hear you.
Okay. So basically the game won't change for me. I'm going to be here. I love it. But the passion refined being, I know more of the direction that I want to go, and also what it's going to take to get there.
Right.
I'm not just like pie in the sky, kind of like pie-eyed dreamer of like, okay, yeah, everything's great because now I know how to blow glass, because I was there and I realized it wasn't the end of all of, it didn't necessarily solve all my problems, but it definitely has created a very, very interesting and exciting life.
Yeah, I love this journey, and most blowers I talk to are blessed to have found this path.
Yeah.
Is there any shout outs you want to give out to anybody? Inspirations? Anything? Last words?
Honestly, I got to shout out my wife. She's really stuck through all of this with me. It's been tough for her, but also she sees the benefit now. I also shout out Smoke and Smitty's. They're my local head shop. Mel and Josh, those guys are awesome. Love them. And then also, just like, if you guys ever come to Bozeman or Montana, don't be afraid to hit me up. I've got room in my studio. I'd love to have some people come in and do some work and hang out, and I'd love to show you around. I love Montana just as much as I love blowing glass.
And that offer same to you. If you come out to Colorado Springs, man, I'll put you up. Same thing. And you know it. That if I'm on a trip, I'm coming out to visit you.
Yeah, I mean, just like Colorado, we've got stellar fishing, stellar rivers, mountains. Same stuff, just in a different place.
Yeah, and you got Yellowstone there, man. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, we do, and Glacier, which is just north.
Yeah. So. Well, all right. I think that's it for me, Kai. I really want to say thanks a lot for joining on this Elev8, and best of luck. And we want to let everybody know to go follow you on Burning Snow Flameworks. And is there any other place where we can check out your work, like online, or is Instagram the best place for you?
Insta's currently the best. My website is being restructured and is not really of any value right now. And Facebook is basically the same post as my Insta. I don't really get on Facebook too much. So
All right.
I just filter it through the Insta.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Kai. Have a most wonderful elevated day, and thanks a lot.
Hey, man, thank you so much. And yeah, God bless. I hope that your day is awesome. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you.
What an experience. I freaking am loving this stuff. This was so cool to hang out with Kai. I did not realize how long he had been in the industry. Holy mackerels, like, oh gee, that was awesome. Hope you all enjoyed it. I want to throw something out there really quickly. As usual, we got our amazing program called Elev8 Veterans. It's our 501c3 where we get to help some veterans, whether it's with some vaporizers to help with their consumption or giving them some glass blowing classes to help just really forget stuff a little bit. It's really an amazing experience. As well as, I need some help. We need some help getting Elev8 out there. You may know who we are, but I promise you, most people don't. And with that, we have this cool thing called Elev8 dolls. It's awesome. You get credits, you get to put smile on other people's faces, and more importantly, you're helping us out. And I gotta say, thank you for that. Anyways, Elev8, mind, body, spirit.